All right, good evening, everyone. I've decided to film tomorrow's math lesson 8.5 tonight from, yes, in my pajamas. That's what I'm going to do. I'm doing this ahead of the time because tomorrow's a busy day for me, so I want to make sure I get this out to all of you and we all stay on track. I am so proud of the amount of people that are watching the videos every day. I've heard good feedback that it feels similar to how we would do it in class. So that's really good news that we're not, feeling overwhelmed or confused through, honestly, what I thought was going to be very challenging. I was very nervous about fractions, and then we had this new way of learning and having to learn them through that. So this is very good to hear that we're feeling comfortable. I'm going to stop rambling. First name, last name, and the date. Here we go. And I have my tea right over to the corner. I have a book that I'm going to read later. Currently, I am reading Harry Potter, the first one. It's really good. And it is Thursday. Okay. Here we go, everyone. Unlock the problem. Billy's family is traveling from his house to his grandma's house. They stop at gas stations when they are 1/4 and 3/4 of the way there. How can you represent those distances on a number line? You can use a number line to show fractions. The length from one whole number to the next whole number represents one whole. The line can be divided into any number of equal parts or length. Woo, that was all wordy, wasn't it? A little confusing. But thankfully we have an example to do together to help clear that up. So what it says is locate fractions on a number line. That's what we're learning to do today. And we've used number lines in the past, so we can do it. We always start at 0, and at the end is our total, the whole number here, right? 4 out of 4 is the same thing as 1 whole. Now, if we jump one space over here, we went 1/4. That's how much we increased. Now, if we did that again, we're now at 2/4, right? If we're increasing by 1/4 each time. You can even draw, oops, right? That's 1/4. We keep increasing by 1/4. Another 1/4 we're increasing, and now we're at 3/4. And almost to the whole. And if you add one more 1/4 to that, you get a whole. Okay. Now, these are just the steps going over what we just did, but let's read them together anyway. Divide the line into 4 equal lengths, or fourths. That's what we did right here. We divided it into fourths. At the end of each strip, draw a mark on the line. Oh, we should have done that. Count the fourths from 0 to 1 to label the distances from 0. So 0 out of 4, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, 4/4, which is 1 whole. And then it says draw a point at 1/4 to represent the distance from 0 to 1/4. Label the point G1. So that would be right here. We're going to label it G1, right? 1/4. It's a weird looking 1. Okay. Now, step 5. Think 3/4 is 3 out of 4 equal lengths, right? We could show it's the same thing as if we had this, right? And we had 3 shaded in, 3/4, right? It says think 3/4 is 3 out of 4 equal lengths. Draw a point at 3/4 to represent the distance from 0 to 3/4. Label that point G2. So let's go to 3/4 and we're going to label it G2. All right. Now I want to just go right over here. This is important. It says a point on a number line shows the end point of a length or distance from 0. A number or fraction can name the distance. Similar to when we used number lines earlier in the year. All right, here we go. Example. Complete the number line to name the point. Oh, we need colored pencils. I don't have those at the moment, but that's okay. We will get creative. Write the fraction that names the point of the number line. Think, this number line is divided into 6 equal groups, equal lengths, or sixths. The length of one equal part is 1/6, right? Each part is 1/6. And again, that is similar to the lesson from earlier. Okay. Now, down here we've got all these blue boxes and we need to fill something in. And honestly, it's just going up in order like the previous page. We have 0/6 going up 1 unit, 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, which is also, anybody know what I'm going to say? It's also 1/2, right? 3 is half of 6. Now we've got 4/6, 5/6, and 6/6, and that is equivalent to 1 whole, right? So we're honestly just increasing by 1/6 each time. And who remembers what the name is when you have 1 in the numerator? It's a unit fraction. Shade the fraction strips to show the location of the point. Shade the, I just read that. There are blank out of blank equal lengths shaded. Okay, so here's that end point. If I had a red color pencil, this would be red. We're going to use our imaginations and pretend this dull pencil is actually red. So there are, how many did I shade? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of, and we know there's a total of 6 equal lengths shaded. Then the shaded length shows 5/6. So 5/6 names the point. These example beginning parts of the lessons, they're always very step by step, and they're good, but they can get a little confusing because it's redundant, meaning, you know, you're rewriting things sometimes twice, so sometimes it can be a little confusing. All right, share and show. Complete the number line, draw a point to show 2/3. So our total is how many total pieces? 1, 2, 3. There's 3 total pieces, and I know as well because the denominator is 3. So I'm going to put a 3 for all of my denominators. I'm just going to do that right off the bat. Okay. Now I know at the very end it's going to be 3/3, right? Because it's the whole thing. We could work backwards if we wanted to, but 0/3, 1/3, 2/3, and 3/3. Good job, everyone. Oh, and draw a point to show 2/3. So let's just put a point here. That's where 2/3 is. All right. Write the fraction that names the point. Point A. All right, so we have 0/8, 1/8, 2/8, and that would be 3/8. A little tricky here. Now point B, 4/8, 5/8, and this would be 6/8 right there. And over here would be 7/8. We're just increasing by 1/8, right? Unit fraction. And point C would be 7/8. And don't forget that the top number is your numerator, the bottom number is your denominator. All right, moving on to on your own. Use fraction strips to help you complete the number line. Then locate and draw a point for the fraction. All right, everyone, here we go. Looking at number 5, how much is it going to be increasing each time? The first box is done for us. We're increasing by this unit fraction, 1/6. So let's just write in. We've got 1/6, 2/6, 3/6, 4/6, 5/6, and 6/6, which is the same thing as 1 whole. I'm having us write that so it really sticks in our head. Okay, now it's saying that we need to locate and draw a point for the fraction that it gives us, which is 2/6, and that's right here. Now you might take it a step farther and draw your boxes to show that it's increasing by 1/6 each time. But for time's sakes right here, we're just going to do this. All right, number 6. We are increasing by 1/3 each time, and we know that because it gives us an example right here. 0/3, now we're at 1/3, and now we're at 2/3, and 3/3 for the ending, 1 whole. Again, we always start a number line with 0, and that's with all number lines. And even with graphs, right? Going back to bar graphs and line graphs in the beginning of the year, we started at 0 too. So again, you may want to draw your boxes. I have been really bad at drawing shapes in these math videos. That's why I think I might be avoiding it. I'm embarrassed by my boxes here. Okay, so it's saying that we need to put a point at 2/3, and bing, bing, bing. There it is. Okay. Same thing, write the fraction that names the point. So point C, I don't know why I keep saying that. Okay, so 0/4, I'm just going to do all of them. 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and again 4/4, 1 whole. Ooh, what about this, everybody? Is 2/2 of 4? Yes, it is, 1/2. All right, so point C, our work's basically done for us, 1/4. Point D is 2/4, also called 1/2. And point E is 3/4. And I know that there's some of you out there, because you did this all year, who are going this extra mile. And please comment if you're one of the people that have done this. 3/4, you wrote all your fractions in word forms. I know some of you did it, and I'm so proud of you. Okay, number 10, here we go. Number 10 says, there is a walking trail at the park. 4 laps around the trail is a distance of 1 mile. How many laps does it take to walk 3/4 of a mile? Now, I have told you guys that I ran cross country and track. So I have a text to self connection here. I used to run the mile, which is the 1600 meters is a mile. And that race was exactly 4 laps. So when I was 3/4 of the way done, I had only 1 lap to go, right? Okay. I'm gonna go over here. This is a lot more comfortable. Okay. So our question was, how many laps does it take to walk 3/4 of a mile? And if we know that each lap is 1/4, if we do 3, the answer would be 3 laps, right? That's the total. We know that 4 laps is a mile. That's the total we need, and we've done this many, so 3 laps. Going deeper, a recipe for pasta makes enough for 8 servings. How many servings can be made using 4/8 of each ingredient in the recipe? And very similar to number 10, the answer would be 4 servings. And the reason is because it says a recipe for pasta makes enough for 8 servings. This recipe serves 8 people. Think of it that way. Or 8 dinners, okay? It'll last you 8 plates, you could imagine. Now, if that is for how many it serves 8, the top number is how many servings you'll get, which is 4 out of that 8, 4 servings. Okay. Moving on. Sorry, guys. Okay. So, unlock the problem. Javia ran 8 laps around a track to run a total of 1 mile on Monday. How many laps will she need to run? How many laps will she need to run on Tuesday to run 3/8 of a mile? Part A is, what do you need to find first? This is really breaking down and unlocking that problem. Well, we need to find the number of laps that she will need to run on Tuesday. So we could say, how many laps does she need to run on Tuesday? That's what we need to find. Part B says, how will you use what you know about number lines to help you solve the problem? You could say a few different things, but you could say, I will use the number line to count the number of laps in 3/8 of a mile, right? That unit fraction is going to be 1/8, right? One piece of this. If you continue to count those, you're going to see how many laps. So you could say, I'll use the number line to count the number of laps in 3/8 of a mile. I will use the number line I'm going to say actually to count up the unit fractions. Until I get to 3/8, right? That's our goal here. Okay, now it says make a model to solve the problem. So again, we're always starting at 0 here. And our denominator is going to be 8 because that's our total, as we can see up here. And again, we're going to increase by 1/8 each time. This is tricky. I don't want to run out of space. Okay, I'm too close already. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8. Ooh, there we go, which is 1 whole. All right, and again, each one we go, we're adding a unit fraction. We're adding 1/8 each time. These are all worth 1/8, right? 1 jump out of 8 each time. Okay. Now we're going to complete the sentences. There are blank laps in 1 mile. Well, this is confusing because the question that we just had on the back page, that's why sometimes the math book frustrates me a little bit. It was just talking about an example where a mile is 4 laps. This might be a shorter track. Think of it that way. And on this track, the laps are smaller. So you need to run 8 to be 1 mile. And we learned that up here, right? It says, Javia ran 8 laps around a track to run a total of 1 mile. So there we go. Each lap represents 1/8 of a mile, right? So blank laps represent the distance of 3/8 of a mile. There we go, everybody, right? 3/8. 1 lap, 2 laps, and 3 laps. So Javia will need to run 3 laps to run 3/8 of a mile. All right, down here it says, this is our last question of the lesson today. That was a quick one. Locate and draw point F on the number line to represent the fraction 2/4. Well, let's label the whole thing. 0/4, 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4, which is 1 whole. At the very end of the number line, you know you did it right if you have a whole fraction here. Same numerator, same denominator. Now, put a point F at 2/4. There we go. And we know that 2/4 is an equivalent fraction to 1/2. Remember that, right? 2 is half of 4. Again, equivalent fractions, we have not had a lesson on them yet, but they are coming, and we're going to feel strong when we get there because we already have some background knowledge on equivalent fractions. All right, everyone, take a break, get a snack, whatever you need to do, and come back to the homework. And I want to let you know that this is approaching us. We will be doing this together on Monday. So mid-chapter checkpoints might be a little bit different than what we used to do. I used to have you do these completely on your own, and then we would go over them, but we'll approach that when we get there. So homework time when you're ready for it. A reminder to be practicing those multiplication facts the first 10 minutes of our math block. I've uploaded week 1 of our math drills, but you also have your flashcards if you would rather use those for 10 minutes. All right. I will talk to you soon. Have a good one.